Hi, this is Lady Lex UK and this is Project Spark Game Mechanics, and we're starting today with our new series which is looking at the game Fortnite. Now, I know that Project Spark is no longer a multiplayer game and Fortnite is all about the multiplayer, so you can't really recreate Fortnite in its entirety in Project Spark and have a fully active game. You can make something for one player using maybe some AI, but this isn't about necessarily recreating the whole game. We're just going to look at little bits of Fortnite and things that are in there that you might want to use in your game. It's a game mechanic. I'm not telling you how to rebuild Fortnite in Project Spark, but. And here is a big but for this week. I'm going to start off with the hardest thing that I found trying to recreate out of Fortnite, and that's the build mechanic, the fort building tools. And although I have something that works here, it's not very elegant. It's not as good in any way as the Fortnite mechanic. But I thought I'd show it you because I'd spent so much time on it, and maybe somebody can finesse this or come up with something completely different that works even better. And the reason that I have used this method, other than just recreating, because some of you have seen a video that I did for the Project Spark Team Club, where I've got a character building a lot of platforms and jumping around and building stuff. And that looks great, but I discovered that method meant that I had a very little versatility on what I was placing, and I couldn't destroy the props because a platform's default setting is to be invulnerable. And as soon as I tried to create it as a template and use exactly the same code, it didn't work anymore. So I've gone for a completely different method. Which is nowhere near as fun as jumping around placing platforms all over the place, but at least it does what it says in the tin. Okay, so we have our player here. I'm going to press the right trigger and it gives me a hologram platform, and if I press up on the D-pad I get a choice of which platform I want to place. Let's go back for that one. I press A and that's placed it. So I can press the right trigger again and I'm going to place another one. So let's do that. And another one. And another one. And let's put a roof on it, shall we? There we go. So I've made a little roofed box. So I can get in from my little roof box, I think. Can I get in it? Or was that too low? No, I'm in. I'm facing this way, and I want to create one of them. There we go. And now I can't get out of my box. And here's a difficulty. It's very difficult to actually get these things to build, but you can build. Like this. There we go. So you can make your own towers like this. It sort of works. They're not really connected to each other. They're sort of like hovering in midair. But you can create a ladder up to a higher point and things like that, and you can make yourself little defensive boxes. So it sort of works. It's not that bad. But I know the Fortnite game mechanic is much more elegant than that and much nicer. But there we go. I'm not the world's brilliantest Project Spark coder, but I will show you what I built. Okay, here is the mechanic. If you want to recreate this, I recommend you probably need to pause every now and then because there's quite a lot of code lines here. I'll go through every single one of them and try to explain each of them as we go. Okay, so in the player. We got a boolean called OK to build, and we're going to set that to true to start off with. And basically what this boolean does is it stops you from creating box after box after box when you haven't placed anything. So you can only place, you can't place more than one logic cube down until you've actually built a platform. This will make sense a bit later on. Right, when not target is our logic cube that we're going to make, has been placed, then OK to build equals false. So if you've started to place some platforms and you've got the holograms up, you can't place any more while that's going on. But what you can do is press up on or down on the D-pad, and that will change this number variable in our logic cube, and that will change what is being displayed, which type of platform is being displayed. When it's OK to build, you press the right trigger, and we're going to create our logic cube. And we're going to set a boolean called building to be true. If display is equal to 0, which means you haven't put any logic cubes down before, this is your first one, then we're going to display the number 1 platform, which is the first one, which is the flat one. Otherwise, we're going to display whatever the last number was. So it doesn't matter how many cubes you've created, it's going to start off with the number of the last thing you made. So if you wanted to make a lot of 7s, you don't have to keep going wading through all of the 7s. It will just go 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. Make it easier to build up one of these ladders. Right, and we're going to set the Y position of our logic cube to be the same as our player. And here it says when A pressed and not building, jump. So we've got this boolean here, say we're building, so that when we press the A when we're building, it's going to place our platform and not make us jump. And that's it for our player. Then we have our logic cube. Don't forget, every time you want to build something, you're going to place one of these logic cubes down. Let's go up to the top. This is code that displays the number of the platform. You can have that or not, it's up to you. This is just clamping it so it can't go any higher than 7 or lower than 1. And then we're going to say, start off with, we are not been placed. Place equals false. If you press the left trigger, this is going to clear it. This is going to delete it. We're going to set our creator, which is the players, OK to build boolean back to true so it can make another one. And then we're going to destroy this cube, and this will create destroy any hologram with it. When it's been placed, else, for each attachment, we're going to make a hologram. When not placed, and A is pressed, placed equals true. So if you press A, then whatever the hologram is, that will be placed in the world. And we're going to set our creator building to false, and creator OK to build to true, and creator display equals that display number. So we've got that going to have the same number, so we can just build the same platform over and over. When placed, if display equals 1, we're going to detach the platform that's attached there, which is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and they're all different sides of that cube. And number 7, which is the diagonal up platform, which is inside the cube. And then we're going to destroy our cube. So all of these platforms have been attached to the cube. You can see there it's got an attachment chain. And I've numbered them all by renaming them, and I've given them all numbers so that I can tell which one is which. And they've all got the same code in, with only a slight variation. So we'll say once our owner, which is the cube, placed equals false, just to make sure. And then if owner is placed and not attached, else hologram. So this platform is going to reveal itself as a hologram until it is detached or the owner has not been placed. Okay, So when the owner display number is 5, this is going to be visible. Otherwise it's not going to be visible. So if the owner display number was 4, this is going to be invisible, and the number 4 platform will be visible instead. So each one of these has got a different number here that represents itself. If it's not attached, however, we're going to make it visible, because as soon as it's become detached from the cube, that means it's been placed and we want it to be visible. If visible and not attached, then collidable is true. Otherwise, collidable is false. So until you've placed it and the other cube has been destroyed and detached the platform, it's not going to be collidable. This is to stop from throwing our player all over the world. When hit by attack, it's going to set a variable called my enemy to be the attacker, and when it starts to be dead, it's going to increment that wood variable in that enemy's brain. So if you attack any of the platforms, it's going to create wood for you. And if the owner is not placed and you press A, then the owner will be placed, and the owner's creator's OK to build is set to true, and we'll make sure the owner is collidable. And in fact, I don't think I need that line anymore, but I'll leave it in. Owner detach me, which is that platform, and I've got it as a highlight just to when I was decoding and debugging. You don't need that unless you want it to it'd be highlight and hologram. So there we go, and that's it, and that's how it makes all of these different platforms. So, but you can see the issue. It's going to create this platform where you're standing, and if you don't move, you'll be able to build up your building quite quickly, because it's going to be in the same position, and it's all going to be, you can make out the entire box. But if you move slightly, or you turn slightly to the left or right, then the angle is going to be slightly different, and it's going to put the cube in a slightly different position, and then none of these join up. So that's the difficulty with this particular method. There might be a way around that, but after 2 weeks of failing to make a game mechanic that I like the look of, this is the best I've gone to, and I'm to be honest, I'm done with it. So if somebody else wants to make a Fortnite game mechanic, please do. I'd love to see it, and I'm sure there's people out there with sharper minds than me that can come up with a better solution than this. But there you go, there's my Fortnite build mechanic. I'm going to be working on other Fortnite mechanics like the loot drops, the holograms, and swapping weapons and that sort of thing. And join us there for more Fortnite game mechanics. Thanks for watching, and keep sparking.